Hi, this is Brendan with Martin Guitar. Welcome back to the lobby for the NAMM show exhibit. We have a couple of really cool instruments that Maury's Music wants to show with you. The GPC Black Walnut Ambertone and the DE Black Walnut Ambertone. Two great guitars. You may be saying Black Walnut, haven't heard of that on a guitar before. It's a great tone wood. It's kind of in between the rosewood and mahogany. It's going to give you a very balanced flavor. These two models each feature an Ambertone top, and they have Fishman VT enhanced electronics in them, so you can get your sound acoustically or electric through an amp. Wonderful guitars. Let's pull one of these off, Maury, and we'll show them the back. Here's the Black Walnut. So a nice dark rich wood satin finish on the back and sides. Beautiful stuff. Let's take a look at the back of this D, because again, those of you who aren't familiar with the walnut, you'll want to see this. So there's some similarities to rosewood here in coloring, not so much in the grain, but in the color. So it's a very familiar look. Again, it's going to be a little bit of a different sound. Next, we'll move over to the D28 Bigsby. And again, you might be saying, what the heck is that all about? So look at this headstock. I'll pull this down so it doesn't get lost in the background. Unique headstock. What you really need to do is Google this. So look at the whole story. But ultimately, there's a really cool connection between Bigsby, Fender, and Martin, dating back into the 40s. The original Bigsby came out in, I think, 1947 and had this really cool looking headstock, which has become kind of iconic. So Bigsby was partnering with Merle Travis. They became friends, and they kind of designed this style together. So there's been some Merle Travis guitars with this headstock, and this is just the latest version. So basically a 28 style, but a maple neck, and of course a beautiful Bigsby headstock on it. Next, the Contour ukulele. This is a really special piece. This is a really interesting instrument, and if you have the opportunity to come to the museum, you can check out the original. We have this piece here. So this piece was owned by Richard Contour, and he went on an Arctic expedition with Admiral Byrd. They went all the way up to the North Pole. This little guy was small enough to stow underneath his seat in the airplane. So as far as we know, it's the only artifact from that North Pole expedition. And he liked to do this thing wherever he would go. He would have people sign the ukulele. So there's signatures all over this thing. And they're all recognizable on this new instrument with the help of the Smithsonian. So they took the original from the museum down to the Smithsonian, and they worked on using some super cool technology to make all of the signatures pop out. We then went back, Dick Boak helped with this before he retired. He went back and recreated all the signatures, and we filled them in a little bit. We thought it would be cool on the lighter koa to darken those signatures a little bit so they're really popping out. So on this instrument, signature-wise, we have Calvin Coolidge, Amelia Earhart, all the people that were on the expedition with Contour and Admiral Byrd. Just really cool instrument. You can also, speaking of doing some more research on your own, if you look on the Smithsonian's website, there's a great pictorial, and it talks about how they were able to retrieve some of the images from the ukulele. So you can check that out with a little Google search. Next piece is the Jimmy Buffett. So we haven't done a Jimmy Buffett in a while. I think the first one was in 1998. Then we did the Pollywog and some others in the early 2000s. And then there was a little X series a couple years ago. So Jimmy's back, and the story behind this one is that Jimmy played a CEO6. If you remember that guitar, it's very similar to this one. And he fell in love with it. He loved the CEO6 and decided to do this version. So it's a all black guitar, gloss black on the top, back, and sides, beautiful gold tuners, and the most striking detail on here is the headstock. So look at that beautiful palm tree up there on the headstock. And then if we move down to the inside, of course, there's going to be these will be labeled. This one is not, but Jimmy's signature will be on the inside. So this being the prototype, doesn't have the signature yet. Next to that is the O RSG. So this is the the baby brother to the DRSG. This is an all-gloss guitar. Back and sides are made of Cirrus. So here's another one. We talked about the black walnut earlier. Cirrus also has a rosewood flavor to it. You can see that a little bit on the video. And the Cirrus is also going to be, I don't want to say that it sounds like walnut because it doesn't. They all have their own unique flavor. But the Cirrus is also a wood that is right in between the mahogany and the rosewood. And this particular species actually comes from northern India and that whole region. But beautiful guitar. Fishman sonotone on the inside. Rich light fingerboard and bridge. High performance taper and neck shape. This is a stunning, stunning guitar. This is the latest in the Arts and Crafts series. And the whole Arts and Crafts thing, here's another one you got to Google. Go back to the 1800s and you can look at the Arts and Crafts movement in architecture and other designs. The wood on this guitar, the German white oak, was specifically chosen because it mimics, or doesn't mimic, it is one of the woods that was used or chosen by those artists back then. While we're on the back, if you can get yourself away from looking at the beautiful figure on this German white oak, you can take a look at the purfling strip, which is inlaid with green stained maple. This is the most stunning feature of this guitar. I really, really like the green, and it couples nicely with all the pearl shell around it. That also extends up into the heel cap. And then let's move back to the front. We have a tourified VTS top, by the way. Inlaid pickguard. So not only the pearl on the pickguard, but the pickguard itself is inlaid into the top. Beautiful kind of rope, sort of a rope herringbone style rosette done in pearl. And on the inside, there's an engraved plaque with CF signature on it. These will be limited to 100 pieces. And finally, for this year's Summer NAMM show, we have dogs playing poker. Here's another one where you're probably scratching your head. There's a guy in the background just laughing at me. Oh, you're laughing at the guitar. Okay, I thought you were laughing at me. Either way is okay. This is a painting, an iconic painting. You've seen, if you haven't seen this one, you may have seen one of the other 15 paintings that started in the late 1800s. This particular one, called A Friend in Need, was done in 1903. The artist is Marcellus Coolidge. And it just became this iconic kind of folk art. It's really interesting. The guitar itself is built off a 16 platform, so it has sycamore back and sides, thinner depth, so you're going to get a really, really focused sound out of this guitar. This is also one of my favorite woods, similar to the German white oak in some of the coloring. Stained beautifully, has the gray binding, all the features of the new 16s. With the dog show, the dogs playing poker on the front. Nice tuners with that gray flavor in them as well. So thanks for watching. Hope you like all these guitars. Check them out online. Check out some of the stories. That's a big part of what a lot of these instruments are about. We came out with the Reimagined series. That was fun, but it's also fun to come out with new and different things, and not everybody understands why we do them, but there's a lot of really good stories behind each of these instruments here. So I encourage you to dig a little deeper and find out what those stories are. We just opened up the museum in the ukulele section. And the piece we have here is the original contour ukulele. This is the one that the new model was designed after, and you can see the signatures on there. Some of them have been darkened a little bit to highlight them, but it's definitely much harder to see them on here. If you look at the images on the Smithsonian site, you'll see some of these highlighted, and also the process they went through to make that happen. I believe there's also a book coming out sometime in the near future that is going to talk about this whole history. So that'll be really interesting. Beautiful piece. Super lightweight. So again, this is the one that went to the North Pole on that expedition. Pretty exciting.